son is right and quick to fight. I'm from a fighting clan. I'm abused or badly used. I always get my man. No matter if he's in Peru, Paducah, or Japan, I go ahead alive or dead. I always get my man. Like Shakespeare said to Nathan Hale, I always get my man.
Nathan Hale.
Goodbye, Groucho. I could have used him tonight. I'm pretty.
Go ahead and speak.
Hello, how are you? You got a good level on me, Kate? God, I got this.
Talk?
Hello, hello, hello. I want it loud. I need it. Oh, not that loud. That sounds like Vesuvius erupting. What is going on around?
Vesuvius's pizza.
Yeah, well, they made a pretty good pie.
Pizza. Yeah, it's burned in the in the lava.
They made a pretty good pie. You know, it's lava baked pizza, Rich. Nothing better than that. We're opening up one Vesuvius pizza. We bake it over a pit of red hot lava. You get that real flavor, you know. And, what's going on? Have the big boys begun their debate? Have they begun to sell out American, cutting it into pieces? I am sick and tired of what I'm hearing every day. Here I go. Be quiet. Let the master work. Let's try this one out. This always works. You know, this is a good one. Are we on? Are we on? It seems a little restrained around here. It's quite an evening. I'm gonna have to tell you what happened to old Pep. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, where'd Alex go? He ran away. He ran away from me. He's afraid to sit here. It's too hot in the kitchen for the kid. He just can't take the heat. You know what's happened is, I was being shook down all day long by both parties, and they both said, Pep, please, do not broadcast tonight because the debate is on, and if you go on at the same hour as the debates, there's a good chance not one single human being in the United States is going to watch the debate except Mitt Romney's mother. And, I thought about it for a while. I don't think I'm a cruel man. I think I've always been a fair man, in fact. But, something was bothering me. I just said, look, why couldn't they have rescheduled the debates for Pep Talk? It happens all the time. We are one of the most widely watched shows in the United States. We tell it like it is. We're here every Tuesday night with our message of truth and hope. And a little thing like a presidential debate comes along and they want us to curtail our efforts to keep the people of this great country, the United States of America. They want to curtail our efforts to keep the people of this great country we love so much, so well, uninformed. How do they think that they're going to have an election if the people of this country are denied pep talk? Pep Talk is the voice of the truth. You're not going to get the truth from CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News. You got to come right here to Rockland World Radio. And you got to get the truth from me, Preston Pepper. What is he up to? Rich is kind of slinking around the set they got set up here, and I want to tell you about it. They've got a great show coming up. It's called The Hanging of Nathan Hale. And, we've got a new twist on it, by the way. He doesn't hang. He's rescued at the last moment by a group of Special Forces Minutemen. It's the way the story really should have gone. One of the problems with history is it doesn't always end up the way it should have ended up, but with something we're trying to do here now at Rockland World Radio. We are trying to provide the people of the United States with a kind of endings in these historical tales that will make them feel proud, make them feel good, and won't cheat them of sleep. In the meantime, the debate should be kicking off right now, and I got a question that I want to pose to the people of America. I want to ask the people of America this: how can they be so audacious as to have a debate for the presidency of the United States at a university, in this case Hofstra University out in Hempstead, Long Island, that does not have a big-time football program? I feel that by putting on this debate at a school that has no big-time football program, you are insulting the people of the United States. You are trying to run this political campaign on the cheap. Why couldn't it have been at Notre Dame or Stanford or UCLA or one of the schools that counts on a big full-time football program to keep everybody occupied? It's just like, it just doesn't fly. I mean, you just cannot have a wedding at a garbage dump. I'm not saying that Hofstra is not a good school. In fact, some of the most respected real estate attorneys on Long Island have matriculated there, but still, no football. I think that disqualifies them from any consideration for a debate of such paramount importance to the people of this great country, the United States of America. Well, that's what they wanted, and that's what they've got. Personally, I'm not even going to bother to watch it. And the reason I'm not going to watch it is I am tired of watching these two guys play liar's poker, while the future and the security of the American people, their very future, is in the hands of two people who are so determined to win an election without telling us any kind of truth, that they kind of try to tuck it away out of sight in a school on Long Island that doesn't have a big name football program. That's just the way old Pep feels, enough said. Over the last few months, old Pep has let it be known that he's not too happy about what is going on in the education sector of the United States. It is really pathetic what is happening in the classrooms all over America. Some people say it's the fault of the curriculum. Personally, I don't agree. Personally, I feel it's not the fault of the curriculum, and it's not even the fault. It's not even the fault of the teachers, it's the fault of the students. The students just don't seem prepared to do the work anymore. When I was a boy, I was prepared to do the work. Nowadays, these kids don't even know what the meaning of work is. How could they? Caught up as they are in an unbreakable chain of electronic addiction. They spend all their time texting when they should be studying, and their minds don't have the ability to grab onto important concepts and master them. What are we going to do about this, boys and girls? I've been giving it a lot of thought, and, well, one of the things that comes to mind is education necessary? I mean, put it this way, some of the greatest Americans who I know, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannery, they never went to college, and neither did Roy Kroc or Bill Gates, neither did Steve Jobs, or even Bob Dylan. So why are we wasting our precious resources on bad education, typical of liberals, to incite the rabble to aspire to levels of education which, in my mind, in old Pep's way of seeing it, are frankly needless? And that's why I'm all for a new program that was hatched in that great incubator of conservative thought, the Cato Institute, and it's called 8 and Out. Effectively, we'll have public education until the 8th grade, and then only the best and the brightest will continue. The others, well, they'll be directed to apprenticeship programs, the military, or jobs in the industrial sector, which will now be able to compete against the Chinese on a salary basis. That's what we intend to do. What we've got to do is get a cycle of deflation going here like a whirlpool to suck the inflation down the drain, to get costs down, particularly salaries, and make us competitive again. Until that's done, there's nothing that we can do. I am sick and tired of hearing Obama and Mitt promise they're going to create jobs. How are they going to create jobs? There's no demand. And why is there no demand? Because there's no money. Until the people have money in their pockets, they're not going to buy anything. And nobody wants to give them money because that would stoke the inflationary cycle and increase our deficit. There's only one way out of it, and that's the hard way. The tough medicine that America has to swallow, as our cousins over in Europe are doing right now, and it's called austerity. With austerity, we can burn out the rot, we can bring pricing down, and we can get America back on the right track and become competitive against the third world. In fact, we will become the third world, and the third world will become the first world, and there'll be a sort of a flip-flop effect, which is the normal course of human history. Think it isn't so? Well, it's time for Pep to give you a little history lesson. You know, take a look at our political parties. It's very interesting to note that the Republican Party of today bears a very close resemblance to the Democratic Party of the old days. And the Democratic Party of today, vice versa, bears an uncanny resemblance to the old Republicans. What do I mean? Well, if you have missed Pep Talk, you probably haven't heard when I explained quite clearly how the United States came into being. The United States is a conundrum. It's a confused paradox of a nation. It's a great nation, no doubt about it, but our origins are a little complex and a little bit confusing. You see, the country was started by, are you ready for this? Freedom-loving slave owners. Freedom-loving slave owners. It's a paradox, right? But that's the foundation, that's the bedrock of the United States of America. Jefferson, the man who penned the Declaration of Independence, was nothing more than a freebooting, freeloading slave owner whose freedom was embellished by the hard work of black souls who were ripped away from their native Africa and brought over here in slave ships. This is the legacy of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is the party of slavery. It always has been and probably always will be. Now, the Republican Party, on the other hand, is completely different. The Republican Party, my Republican Party, small r Republican Party, was a party started by men like Abraham Lincoln, and people like Charles Sumner from Massachusetts, who believed in the eradication of slavery and the expansion of economic activity into the West. These were the men who made America the mighty country it is today by having the vision to see where we could go, to channel the power of America's great manifest destiny and make it work, in spite of the efforts of the states' riders in the Southland who wanted to stifle this expansion and continue with their horrible slave-owning ways. And then something happened. The Republican Party, which had been the party of freedom, made a big mistake in the 1960s and welcomed many of these blue dog Democrats into their party. The rest of the story is a horrible, horrible tale of betrayal. These people weren't real small R Republicans. No, they weren't at all. These were the descendants of Jefferson and Andrew Jackson, the kind of people who believed in slavery, They cast the Republican Party on its head and made it a terrible, terrible party that could not understand where it had come from, and consequently, we lost the support of people who should have most naturally flocked to our standard, and by this I mean the black people of the United States of America. I had been lost myself on this for a long time until Madame Hepzibah, the soothsayer that Bubbles McAdoo had introduced me to. Bubbles uses her on various investment counseling issues, took one look at me and said, "My God, that man of yours is the reincarnation of Teddy Roosevelt. I feel it." And the moment she pronounced those words, old Pep began to do a lot of thinking. A lot of thinking. And what came out of this thought process was, I got to get the party back on the rails, back in the right direction. I've got to take on all these blue dog Democrats, all these neocons and neoliberals, and I got to reintroduce, with the help of the fantastic team of gentlemen that I've assembled, a small R Republican Party in the spirit of rough-riding Teddy Roosevelt. Old testosterone and trust-busting, that's the way Teddy was. Of course, I haven't made a lot of friends with these new ideas of mine. I told a lot of the boys, and this is one reason why I've got nothing to do at the moment with Mitt Romney, who would like nothing better than to take over the United States and outlaw caffeine. That's what the Mormons want to do. It all came very clear to us a couple of weeks ago when one of my operatives was approached in a bar in Missouri. But that's a story I've told many times and really, frankly, don't feel like going back to tell again. I want to save America, and I tried to raise the money to run for president, but it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? I was stabbed in the back by an old nemesis. I don't want to go into that story either. I didn't have the funding. My future father-in-law wanted to help me out. He said, "Look, Pep, if you want, I'll buy the country for you." But I said, "No, Ebenezer, I don't want to run the United States if you have to buy it for me. The only way I ever want to run this country is if I am elected president, and at the moment, it doesn't look likely. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to bide my time, and me and the boys are going to concentrate on winning the election in Upper Nyack. We've got what we need to do that. I've got a platform. We got a great platform. Nothing allowed, everything permitted. That's our slogan. We think with a slogan like that, we're going to be able to get just about everybody into our tent. And Steve has been doing miraculous things while he's driving his truck, coming up with PIMP, the PEP, investment, money moving so-and-so, whatever it is. An opportunity at the end of the day for the little guy to buy political influence. Rory's working on a couple of theories. We are really going to get prepared, and we are going to grab up Upper Nyack. As I've said many times, paraphrasing Julius Caesar, all Nyack is divided into 4 parts. We take over Upper Nyack, we move into Nyack, we go east and west. Pretty soon we have the whole area, and we can branch out into places like Haverstraw and New City. Pretty soon we are going to change the whole context of the American political game. Not the way that those 2 clowns would have it done. I mean, you expect any one of them is going to tell you the truth? I don't. Nobody tells the truth in Washington. Why should they? Nobody would believe them. Instead, they lie, and lying comes easy to a Washington Politico, because lying in Washington is like playing strip poker in a nudist colony. It makes no sense at all. Nobody can tell one liar from another. Everybody's mouthing the same old, mendacious gobbledygook. Not old Pep, though. Old Pep knows exactly what he wants to do. I want to move forward, and I want to run America right. And it can be done right, but it's going to take time, and it's going to, of course, take money. And that's why I really need all the people out there to get out their checkbooks and do their very, very, very best imitation of my baby, the lovely Bubbles McAdoo, and say how many zeros and write the biggest possible check they can and send it to Rockland World Radio, care of Pep Talk, Box 570, Nyack, New York, and you'll probably get one of our buttons, and I think it's going to be quite lovely. I think when you put that Pep Talk button on and you walk down the street, you're going to realize you're not alone anymore. You know, we have a tremendous audience now that I've basically been able to build with the help of Richard here at the radio station. And the people who watch this show know what old Pep's talking about, and I get a lot of letters, and yesterday I got a letter from a woman. She said, "Pep, you're a national treasure. I want to bury you." You know, this is the kind of stuff I'm getting all the time from people who really care about America, the way I care about America. Not the way Rush cares about America or Glenn cares about America, not the way any of these people. I'm the kind of guy, I grew up on a farm. My father had a farm. He was a poor farmer. Later on, I found out he kept that bad farm of his because he was getting incredible tax write-offs on it. But that's another story. I like to roll up my sleeves, and I like to get the job done. I'm not like this idiot, Paul Ryan. Did you see what he did yesterday? He goes to a soup kitchen in Ohio. It was the most pathetic thing. This guy couldn't wallop a pot if he had to, if his life depended on it. He goes in there and does a photo op. Old Pep would never do something like that. I would never, ever, ever use the disadvantage to my own advantage. I don't have to. I've got mine, and that's all I need. When I go out there and address the people who have less, and that's most of the country, I go right up to them, I look them in the eye, and I said, "You're hurting? Things are bad, aren't they?" And they go, "Yeah, Pep, not so good, Pep." I said, "It's going to change tomorrow morning. Call me up," and I hand them my card. I got a great card. You know, half of this game is having a great card. I got one of the greatest cards you ever seen. I give them a card like that. 9 out of 10 times they never call anyway. They're just so intimidated by that card. You know, they get the card and, you know, they walk out and they go, "Oh my God, this card, wow. I could never call a guy with a card like that." But if they did, they can be assured that they would get my answering machine. Let me tell you that. Nobody who calls old Pep in trouble, asking for help, ever fails to get his answering machine. And one of these days I'm going to listen to a lot of those calls, and I will probably do something immediately to help those people out. I am a small R Republican. I am the kind of guy who wants to bring back the boss-style politics of the past that took care of people who needed being taken care of. That's the way America used to work, and then the liberals stuck their hand into it, and the moment that was done, everything went to hell in a handbasket. I'm tired of it. I am really tired of it. America demands more. America deserves more. And if the people will only see what old Preston Pepper has to offer, the next election, regardless who wins this time, when Pep is ready and up and running with his new Bull Moose party, after all, like Teddy Roosevelt, I'm going to run as an independent. Everybody can expect everything they don't have today. That's what Pep is about. I want to help the people of this country so much. I want them all to have a chance to have all the opportunities I had. I know what it must be like to have dark skin. I was raised by a black man, Bingo Johnson, the great spitballer who never had a chance to pitch in the major leagues because of the liberal conspiracy that was in power at the time. Well, it's gone now, and the reason it's gone was a great Republican named Branch Rickey said, "Enough! That was the kind of Republican politics that old Pep was brought up on, and old Pep will go to the grave with." And when I go to the grave, by the way, I'm not worried because we all know about the intimate relationship I enjoy with Andy's over at Fairchild's out on Broadway in Nyack. But that's another story, too. I am just so tired of these debates, though. I am tired of hearing the people of America lied to by two political parties that are more like a two-headed snake. How does that grab you? A two-headed snake. Well, old Pep knows how to deal with snakes. I learned how to deal with snakes working on that farm that my father kept for tax purposes. You take out a hoe and bang, that's the end of them. And then you just throw them out and you get back to work. That's what we have to do, boys and girls. America's got to get back to work. There are great things in our future. There will always be great things in the future of the United States of America. But you have to be willing, as I am, to roll up your sleeves and do the job right. Why do you think I come here week after week? Do you think I come here because I need to? Bubbles is continually telling me, come on, Pep, let's just pack it in. Let's go to Scotland. Let's go to Scotland. We are so beloved there. The people just love us. What are we doing here? I want to move, Pep. I've never lived in a castle. I've always lived in this small little house, and I want to live in a castle. And I say, baby, I'd love to live in a castle with you, honey, but would that be fair to the people of the United States of America? And Bubbles, the patriotic woman, the wonderful, wonderful friend and lover that she is to old Pep, says, honey, I knew you couldn't. You couldn't turn your back on your own. And she's absolutely right. I couldn't turn my back on my own. And my own are the people of the United States of America, be they black or white or brown or yellow, no, regardless of what God they pray to. They are all Americans, and Pep is a friend of everybody who wants to be an American. I'm not like Mitt Romney. I'm not some elitist whose hair is never out of place. Take a look at me. I'm a mess half the time. But I know what has to be done. I feel for the people of the United States of America. I am Mr. Empathy. You think Bill Clinton had empathy? Bill Clinton had this much empathy. Old Pep has that much empathy. When you get into an empathy contest with old Pep, boy, you better bring a lot of empathy to the table, boys and girls, because old Pep is really empathic. That's what they're saying, all over town. All over town, Does Mitt Romney wake up in the morning and buy lunch for the whole town? I don't think so. In fact, I don't even think he's been in this town. Rich, has he ever bought... Rich says no. Rich is shaking his head. I know why Rich won't speak his mind. He's afraid to. But I want to tell him tonight I've got some good news. I have got some good news. I was talking to one of the kleptomaniacus brothers, and they said they're not going to bother us till after the election. And I said, coming from you, that's... quite a surprise, maybe one day, maybe there's some hope for you, kleptomaniacus. Maybe one day you'll stop this Greek thing and start conducting yourself as an American. An American does not put pressure on somebody like Richard Quinn at Rockland World Radio, who's devoted his very life to keep fighting against the liberalism that would rip this country apart like a cheap shirt.
This is so emotional for me.
Stop it, Pep! Oh, God, sometimes I just lose it completely. I got so much, and I know so many people out there are hurting because of the wretched politics that are going on. And I know that all I can do is to keep fighting, to keep coming back every Tuesday night and giving the people of America what they deserve. The truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, Richard, get me out of here. Oh, God. I love you, America.
Wow, that's a lot of yelling.
That's all you got to say.